Hello viewers, Liquid128 here, reviewing our new indie, Time Recoil for the Nintendo Switch. As per disclosure, we are making it known that this review was made possible by the publisher 10 Tons, who provided a review copy. And with that said, let's get into this time-twisting adventure. Time Recoil's story is straightforward but also somewhat confusing owing to its theme. A woman gains superpowers after an accident in a laboratory, run by the evil and hilariously named Dr. Time, who proceeds to experiment on her. A time traveler named Bishop later comes from the future and extracts her in order to save this future from Dr. Time, who took over Europe and instilled it with fascist propaganda in the 1980s with the assistance of a time-based weapon of mass destruction. Now you, with your time-based superpowers, are to jump back and forth with the past decade to fix the timeline in the name of good. It's an okay story, even if the constant time jumping makes it a bit hard to follow at times, which is a problem common in many time travel stories. Time Recoil is a top-down twin-stick shooter. As you may have noticed from the gameplay, the overall foundation bears a heavy resemblance to another game made by 10 Tons, Jidge, which I recently reviewed, down to having a near-identical control scheme. Much like Jidge, the game structure is mission-based, but unlike Jidge, where the missions were meant to be repeated, Time Recoil's campaign is a constant string of levels that get visited only once. The missions likewise tend to be short, but there are many more of them, and the gameplay features mean that you might stay in a particular level for a small while. Jidge's basic gunplay combat system, limited to fewer weapons this time, is carried over to Time Recoil, but everything beyond that is different. Killing enemies slows down time, and kill streaks extend the duration of this slowdown. Getting repeated kills in slowdown grants you a one-use ability that aids in both movement and killing more enemies, what you get being dependent on how many kills you got in a single slowdown. This time-based gameplay brings to mind Super Hot in a nutshell. These abilities, ranging from an enemy killing dash move to slowing down time so much it's practically stopped, are crucial to beating levels, because you die in one hit. Your enemies also die in one hit, unless they have armor or riot shields, so it's kill or be killed. Ammo management is likewise important. You have to manage your shots carefully or be left defenseless, even if some levels have guns lying around. But it's not as bad as implied, since retrying after death takes a second at most. As such, the game is largely painless trial and error, like Super Meat Boy. It demands almost flawless execution, but it's never unfair. In short, Time Recoil's gameplay demands a fast mind and quick reflexes to shoot your way through the 50+ levels, sometimes even quickly. Like the gameplay to an extent, the visuals are lifted from Jidge as well, and they look about as good here. The major difference is that while Jidge used several locales for variation, Time Recoil has less variety, using mostly the tall skyscraper aesthetic seen in Jidge and interior of buildings. On the flip side, these areas have more detail to compensate, so it's not like there's a huge distinction visually, one game stronger than the other in certain aspects. While Time Recoil's performance is solid, there are frequent scenarios where explosions or numerous enemies on the screen firing weapons can crowd and slow the game down somewhat noticeably, and not from your time-based powers. This lag can often create deaths where there's a disconnect between the player and the game where you need to react quickly. So, while Time Recoil is still good in this aspect, it's slightly inferior. Time Recoil is somewhat of a strange case. It's a competent game, with good visuals and challenging gameplay, but at the same time it does have somewhat of a learning curve and can be beaten somewhat quickly. 3 difficulties for the campaign, a time attack mode with online leaderboards, and achievements can keep you coming back for more though, so at least there's some replayability. The highest recommendation for Time Recoil is for the player with a speedrun mentality, which is something the game very much encourages and succeeds at with its gameplay, but it's a bit of a harder sell for someone wanting a quick pick-up-and-play game. It remains, however, a good product and something to check out if you want to. Overall, I'm giving Time Recoil a 4 out of 5. Let us know what you think of this game if you buy it below. Make sure to like the video if you want to see more, and subscribe to Source Gaming for more news and reviews straight from the source. I am Liquid128, signing off.